I think I'm sailing through pretty safe waters when I make an assumption that most of us have heard the expression, journeys begin with the first step. In Illustrator, that could mean a couple of things. We might be opening up a template, and Illustrator actually does have a lot of templates. We might be opening up a pre-existing document that either you or somebody else has worked on, and now you want to work on it some more. In our case, the first step is the creation of a blank artboard. We're going to go to the word File on the pull-down menu, and we're going to go down to, obviously, New. These options in the New Document dialog box will help us obviously set up our new artboard. First thing is the name. You really don't have to use this, but it makes sense. You are going to have to name this document sooner or later. You might as well do it now. New Document Profile, to me, is what's called the intent of the document. Very important thing to know. If we click here, Print, Web, where is it going? There's a dude by the name of Stephen Covey. I don't think he'd appreciate me calling him dude, but he's an international speaker and writer, very famous. He writes books like The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, and his second habit is speaking right to us. Begin with the end in mind. We really need to know the end. Let's say we're going to print, so we'll select that option. A couple of things change down here based on that. This option I love. I think you will too. Number of artboards. I can't tell you how many students have asked me in the past, Andy, when is Adobe Illustrator going to become a multi-page kind of program? I can only do one page or one artboard. CS5 is the answer to that question. You can have up to 100, but not just 100 artboards. They can be all different sizes. That might not make sense until you think this through. Let's say you have a document that you have a letterhead in, so you've got a letter-sized piece of paper. It's got your letterhead and stuff on it. Use it to mail out. In the same document, you have another artboard that's the size of the envelope that will print to go with the letter, and maybe you actually have a business card one. You can have 100 of these things, and it's a long time coming. The letter size right here is based on our profile, and we have letter stuff like legal and tabloid. We'll leave that at letter. I do not measure in points. I do not measure in inches. I measure in pica. Choose whatever system is best for you. Pica to me is a very clean measuring system. 51 by 66, if you go to inches, is 8.5 by 11. Most orientations for papers are portrait, not landscape, so we'll leave that alone too. Bleeding is for 4-color press things, where you do artwork like a poster, and the graphics go all the way to the edge of the paper. They actually print that on paper that's larger, and I need to know the bleed. I'll call my press operator. He'll say how much extra I need to bleed the image off the page size so when they cut it, it's perfect. Won't worry about that for now, obviously. Color mode, and these are advanced options right here. The color mode is either subtractive, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black for paper, which is where we are, or RGB, which is additive, red, green, and blue. We'll leave that alone. Raster effects is new. Have you ever noticed that when you print your artwork, it doesn't look quite as good? You lose that smooth, high quality in your drop shadows, blurs, and textures. What we're talking about here with this option is resolution-independent raster effects. It's on high because we're going out to print. But if we had chosen web, I would use actually screen at 72. This allows my effects, like drop shadows, as I mentioned, to come out beautiful every time. The preview mode, default, you go into what's called pixel or overprint. We'll explain most of those later. Align new objects to pixel grid is a new feature. Have you ever worked with your pen tool, maybe creating something like a 1-pixel stroke? You cannot get it to align with some other object on the screen, like maybe another 1-pixel stroke. It's to the left, it's to the right, wherever. You can't get them together. Align new objects to pixel grid solves that for us. It generates clean, sharp raster graphics. Objects are automatically nudged to the closest pixel. That's a beautiful feature. It's not always something you want to use, but when you're doing artwork, I'd say always turn that one on. Align new objects to pixel grid. You like what we did? Basically come up here to the word OK and click OK. Presto! We've just created our first document in Adobe Illustrator.